Hello, Dyson, and welcome to science. Okay, today is quite exciting. We are going to be planting some beans. Now, the question is, can I plant my bean? Before we do anything, can we have a think? What does a plant need to grow? Can you remember from last week? Pause me and talk to an adult and tell them all the 5 things that a plant needs to grow. Okay, hopefully you thought of all the 5 things. Let's have a look and see if you got them all. So a plant needs sunshine, soil, space, water, and air. Well done if you got all of those things. Okay, now we will be growing a beanstalk. Can you have a think about why? Tell me. We are learning about Jack and the beanstalk. So we'll be growing a beanstalk. Now, if we were in school, we would all be growing a beanstalk and observing it over the whole half term to see what happens to it. As we're at home, we're going to be planting the beanstalk as a class. So Dyson's beanstalk will be at my house. Okay, now if you have all of the things that I'm about to show you to grow a beanstalk at home, then feel free, plant your own beanstalk as well and send me some pictures. Okay, you will need a blank piece of paper and a pencil and some colouring pens or pencils lesson. Okay, and this piece of paper you need to keep for the whole half term, so you need to keep it somewhere safe. It's not just for this lesson and then you can lose it. You need to keep this one piece of paper safe all half term. Okay, so if we were in school, this is what our investigation sheet would look like. Okay, and the first thing we do is make a prediction. So that's what we think might happen. And then each week we have a look, or we observe our experiment and draw it to see what changes happen over the weeks. Okay, and then at the very end we'll be writing whether what we predicted was right or wrong. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to plant our bean. And what do we need? We're going to need a plant pot, some beans, some soil, got soil down here, a watering can. I haven't got a watering can, so I'm having to use my water bottle, but that's okay. A watering can, and then we're going to need to put our bean in a light place with lots of air. Okay, so I think the next thing for me to do is show you how to plant the bean. Ah, no, it's not, Miss Walker. Okay, before we plant our bean, I would like you to make a prediction. So we've talked about predictions before. What do you think is going to happen to our bean? Okay, I would like you to write this sentence at the bottom here to tell me what you think is going to happen. You're going to write that right at the top of your piece of paper. I think the bean will something because something else. Okay, so pause me now and write that sentence. Tell me what you think is going to happen to the bean when we plant it. Okay, pause. Right, now I need to. So we're going to plant our bean together. Are you ready? I'm going to stop sharing so that I can show you how to plant this bean. Okay, so if you want to do this at home, mums and dads, it is kidney beans, just a normal pack of sort of dried kidney beans. Okay, and what I have done is I have soaked my beans overnight in water. Okay, so they're sitting in there, so it needs to be, well, maybe not overnight, 5-6 hours, something like that, and that helps us with the planting. Okay, so I've got my pot and I've put a bit of soil in there, so let's put a bit more in, put a bit more soil so it's nearly up to the top with soil. You can't really see the soil, but that's okay. Okay, nearly up to the top with soil. Then you get your bean that's been soaking overnight, remember, or for 5 or 6 hours, and you're going to plant. I'm going to put 3 beans in here. Okay, 1, 2, maybe make a little hole for them to sit in, 2 and 3. There we go. Sorry, you can't really see it, can you? But there they are, 3 beans in the soil. Okay, and what we need to do next is cover, can you see me? Cover the beans with a little bit more soil, okay? So, a bit more soil here, look. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Try not to make a mess. There we go. So I've covered the beans with soil. Okay, and you press them down just a little bit, not too much, to make sure they're all nice and secure in their little beds. Okay, cover with soil. Now the next thing that we need to do is water the beans. Now I'm going to put it on here so because the water might go through. So get my water, and you don't want it too wet. Okay, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit of water all over my beans. Did you see that? Fantastic. Okay, and that is that. My beans are planted. Another fun thing you can do, and this is just for fun this time, is make a little castle and put the castle in the plant pot. And then when our bean grows, hopefully the beanstalk will grow all the way up to the top of the castle like it did in Jack and the Beanstalk. Okay, so I'll leave that in there. Now, let's put that there. What I'm also going to do, let me tilt you up a little bit so you can see me. What I'm also going to do is do a second experiment. Now, I've got a jar here and I've put some kitchen roll around the inside of the jar. And then on the inside of the jar, I've also filled it, oh, you can't see, filled it with a bit of soil. Okay, and what I'm going to do is put some beans down the outside, there it is, the outside of the pot. Do you see? And this will hopefully mean that when our beans, oh, can I get it down there? There we go. Oh, that's a good one. When our beans start to grow, we'll be able to see what happens to the bean, because in here we can't see inside the soil, can we? But in here we'll be able to see what happens to that bean as it's growing. Okay, so I need to water this jar. Tilt you down again. Hello. Water this jar. So this, oh, don't want it too wet, but we want the tissue to be wet so that the bean gets some water. Okay, there we go. And this walker's made a mess, never mind. Okay, fantastic. So I have planted my beans. If you would like to plant them, just copy what I've done. Okay, now I need to start sharing again for the next part of this lesson. Okay, there we go. So now we've planted our bean, we need to remember some things. What do we need to do to keep these beans alive? Now, we were talking about the 5 things that plants need to grow. We've given our plants soil, haven't we? We've given it water, we've given it space. We need to put it in a place where there's sunshine. So I'm going to put, after this lesson, I'm going to put this bean in my sunniest window so that it gets sunlight, and then I'll open the window, or there'll be air in here for it to grow as well, so don't worry. Okay, so that's the 5 things to keep our beanstalk healthy, and that's what you'll need to do if you're growing a bean too. Okay, we're going back to that piece of paper now, okay? And what I would like you to do is have a look at our bean. This is the first week's observation. So you're going to have a look at this and see what it looks like. What do you see? I mean, I don't see an awful lot, do you? No. So what I would like you to do is draw what you see, a little bit like my picture down here. I'd like you to write the word week, and then write the number 1 next to it, week 1, and then you're going to draw the plant every single week. Week 1 looks like this. A pot with some soil in, and there's nothing coming out. There's nothing there, is there? I'd like you to draw this for me, please. Okay. Pause me now and do that. You can colour it in too. Fantastic. Well done, everyone. Now, the last thing. So each week we're going to be observing the bean to see what happens, okay? And this is one of our learning objectives for science in year 1. So it's called working scientifically. And we have to observe how plants change over time, okay? You can do this with any plant. Do you remember the plants back in our classroom? One of those I did this with. I got a lemon seed out of a lemon and planted it, and it grew into a little tiny lemon tree, which hopefully will keep growing and growing and growing until I get real lemons off it. You can do this with absolutely anything, okay? So last thing I'd like to say is tomorrow, in our science lesson, if possible, you'll need to have a real flower. So maybe if you go for a walk, you might be able to find one outside, or if your family has any fresh flowers, maybe you could borrow one. Ask your mums and dads really nicely to borrow a flower. But don't worry if you can't, I will have a flower for us to use in the lesson. It just might be nice for you to use one too. Okay, thank you very much for joining me, and good luck if you are going to plant your beans. I can't wait to see what's going to happen to yours, like I can't wait to see what's going to happen to mine. So exciting, isn't it? Okay, don't forget, post a picture of your science work from today on Tapestry so I can have a look, and any pictures of you planting beans. Okay, bye Dyson, well done.